Hey guys, another video for you here today. I just bought myself a Ariens 24-inch snowblower here for a pretty reasonable price off of a used classifieds website. But there's a couple things I want to address on it first before I get to actually using it. Number one is that whoever built this thing didn't actually follow the directions while assembling it past the point of putting it all into one piece. They didn't adjust the skids, they didn't adjust the bottom bar here, and if you look closely you can see right here all the way across that's uneven. It's completely uneven wear because these side skids are completely misadjusted. So we'll be taking care of that today. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is going to tip it up back so it's resting on its handlebars here, and then we're going to support it underneath here with these jack stands that I have kicking around. So let's do that. Tip it back and jack stand. So that's well supported now. You can see we've got this nice scraper bar here. We've got some deforming already, like some scraping here, which is what it's for, which is fine that it's actually scraped, but it's completely uneven. And I want to take that off, so that'll come off with just a couple of bolts down here. These are all carriage bolts. They've got a square sort of shank on them that fits through the holes in the actual piece, so we can just undo those without having to hold them from the top. I'll just grab a wrench. Well, let's see how good my guess is. This is, I think it's a 13 millimeter, it looks like, or ½ inch. Yep, sure is. Pretty well stuck. Alright, so we can pop these little guys out now. Alright, here we go. So you can see that's clearly, yeah, that's way off. Alright. This is what happens when you don't properly adjust your snowblower after taking it out of the box. We've got a new part over here. So this is a new part. It's an Ariens official part number, 03884451. The blade for the 24-inch snowblower, and so it should just fit like that. And get that bolted up. So you can actually see here the bottom of these bolts is actually dragging on the ground as well. You've got an angle on that. I don't know how well you can see that there on the camera, but that's cut off at an angle. It's lucky that the threads actually aren't destroyed. Anyway, on she goes. hand tighten these to start with. I don't want to cause any more pain by cross-threading them right away. Now, this blade can be adjusted front to back a slight amount. So that adjustment will happen later. But for now, I think I'm just going to put it up as high as it can go, because you're supposed to move this blade downwards over time as the blade itself wears. I could have done that with this one, but it was so uneven that I don't think it would run right. It wouldn't scrape properly against the ground if I just slid it down a little bit to compensate. So I wanted to start with a fresh flat blade. So all the way up it goes. And let's get this fixed properly. Going the slow way here, just so we don't strip any of these. Alright, so that's basically the new blade installed. We're done with that part of the process. The next is to simply drop it back down and properly adjust it so this blade sits off the ground the intended amount. That involves loosening the bolts on the side here. I know you can't see those right now. Maybe you can over here. There's this one and this one. And then those shoes can shift and raise and lower and everything. So that'll be the next part, so let me just get this thing down and then we'll move on to that. Okay, I got this thing back down on the ground, and you can see here we got the shoes in focus. So this one on the right side, right here, you can definitely see just from looking at it, that is way off. And gee, yeah, I don't know who was thinking that this was ready to go, but yeah, we got to adjust that. So on the other side here, same deal. You can actually see the entire shoe is actually off the ground. And my helper's a little upset. Anyway, you can see that this shoe is all completely off the ground here. I can fit my fingers under that. Well, one of them at least. So that means that this scraper itself down here is actually hitting the ground, and it should not be hitting the ground. I think the manual for this thing says that depending on the material that you're driving it over, it should be, the scraper should be about 1/8 of an inch off the ground, and the shoes should be riding on the ground. And obviously you can see why that scraper was unevenly worn, because that's completely the opposite here. So let's start on this side. We'll just undo these. These are 14 millimeter nuts, and shouldn't take too much to loosen this. Hey buddy, we got our helper here. So now they're flush with the ground, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side just to get everything kind of evened up a bit. Okay, so now everything's sitting flush. Move it around a bit to get rid of any gunk that's in there. I don't know what help that'll be, but so now we are resting completely on the ground with the scraper, which is Still not right, so what we're going to do is we're going to find a shim of some sort, and we're actually going to put that right under here to lift the scraper up off the ground. And then we'll tighten the shoes. We'll find something to shim this with. Okay, so we've got an 1/8 inch, approximately inch thick piece of cardboard here that should do. So we're going to lift this guy up, put that under there. And let that, yeah, that looks about right. Let it sit on that rather than on the ground. There we go. So yeah, scraper's not on the ground anymore. It's on this piece of cardboard, which is evenly spaced it on either side. And now we can tighten up the shoes. So we'll start with the right side. Doesn't really matter, it's just where my driver is. So that's good. Hey buddy, how's it going? Guest appearance from Roscoe. That looks good. And one more. Beef that up a bit. There we go. I'll just hit this one more time on this side, make sure it's good and tight. Okay, we're good. So now the scraper, once we remove this cardboard, should not touch the ground at all. And it doesn't, as intended. So our adjustments here are complete, and now I think this snowblower is ready for winter. So that about wraps it up for this snowblower. Now the scraper is properly adjusted, so it won't be dragging on the concrete as we're using it, and the shoes will properly take most of the wear and tear instead of that blade. So now that that's done, this thing is pretty much ready for winter. I'll be able to, fire it up whenever the next snowfall comes and just, kick butt. So I never mentioned it when I started the video, but the model number of this unit here, for anyone who's interested, is an Ariens brand, or Ariens, I don't know how it's set, 920402. Pretty common, sold at Home Depot, and probably a couple of the other Ariens distributors. Pretty nice unit. It's got a remotely controllable chute and everything. Pretty good for the price I paid for it, considering it's used for only about a year apparently. But anyway, if you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more of this type of stuff, hit subscribe. Yeah, happy snowblowing.